All right, so I got my really good friend, Jay Spall here. Super excited to have you. You're actually my first friend to come and do an interview here.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, ditto.
So let's talk about how we first met. We met in the elevator. I think I had come back home from sailing, and you're a very inquisitive person. So I think that's really, really important because you're asking me questions like, oh, like, where'd you come from? I went sailing, and you got really excited. You're like, oh, I want to go sailing. So then I invited you on a sailboat, and we had a blast together. I feel like that's kind of our first time really spending, a lot of time together.
Yeah.
I think what I enjoy about hanging out with you is that one thing is you're very inquisitive. I learn a lot from you,
Thank you.
and I like to hang out with people that I learn a lot about. And you are in a very interesting industry, which I'm fascinated about. I know very little about, but this is kind of why we're here because I want to learn more about it. And our listeners, will probably be interested in learning more about it, but also about your transformation because you had an epic transformation, and you can tell in your confidence and your energy that you feel good about yourself. So let's talk about Minicircle because we met the founder, Walt, on the sailboat.
Yes.
And he is a character. Walt is a really fun guy.
Yeah.
And obviously like a genius apparently, because he created this really cool gene therapy thing. So you're the chief revenue officer and the head of?
Biz dev.
Biz dev, okay.
Yeah.
So you're not really, because you're also a biochemist. I mean, we haven't
Yes.
even talked about you being a biochemist. So let's talk about that because I feel like you're really excited about this new career path because you are also like a consultant as well, and you're still doing that.
Yeah, for very selected few clients,
Okay.
high value clients here and there. My predominant role is with Minicircle now. But being a biochemist,
Yeah.
it's almost like kind of a requirement for a role like this because it's important for the person who's doing the biz side to fully understand the gravity of science, right? Yeah. So it kind of all makes sense. Firstly, super happy to be here, Paul.
Yeah, for sure.
Really enjoy all the time we've spent together.
Yeah.
That sail trip was
epic.
And I don't know
So
if people
fun.
know this, Paul's a really good sailor.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
No, I mean, we didn't even sail that day. To
I
be
know,
honest.
but
It
that's
was
my favorite kind of sailing.
It was motorboating.
No, that's my favorite kind
Yeah,
of sailing.
yeah, okay.
I want to just be able to say I went sailing and never have to lift a finger. So, which is, I got everything I wanted, right?
Yeah. And we had a perfect day.
It was a fantastic
Clear.
day. We saw dolphins. Yeah.
We jumped in the water. We had a blast.
Yeah, and so Walt was visiting me, and it just happened to line up. So it's funny how we're talking about Minicircle and the gene therapy, and you ended up already meeting the co-founder of that company. Yeah. Happy to get into it. Is that where you want to get started?
Well, let's see here. Something's popping up in my head right now. So I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a random thing, but again, I didn't really get to hang out with you a lot until we went sailing. And I don't think we've hung out too many times because I just met you 8 months ago, right?
Yeah.
When you were living in the same complex. But I think one of the things, and I was thinking about this earlier, I was like, one of the things that really drew me into you, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, is how you see things. And we've had some great conversations, and the one that pops in my head right now is when I was telling you about, I don't know if it was about me being single or me being working hard, and I've just been just grinding, and then you were talking about pickleball.
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yes.
You were talking about pickleball, and you were so excited about it, and I really feed off of other people's energy, I'm a very sensitive person, and your energy is always you're always having fun, and it's it's fun to be around you, and you said that. I was like, why do you like pickleball so much? And you're like, because it brings me joy. I'm like, okay. I was like, tell me more. And you're like, yeah, life's about finding things that bring you joy. And I don't know why that conversation really stuck with me. I mean, honestly, I started to think about things that I do in life and if they bring me joy or not,
Yeah.
And the reason why that popped up, and I don't know why that just popped up in my head, but I feel that what you're doing in your career, in your life, it's obviously bringing you joy, and you can feel that in your energy. So let's
Paul,
start there.
Maybe it popped up in your head because I did a thought transfer to your
Yeah,
head
yeah,
about
you did.
pickleball.
Okay.
Because everybody who knows me in the ideal world,
Yeah.
I would just be playing pickleball from morning to night,
Uh-huh.
and I would be talking about pickleball. I would be teaching pickleball.
Yeah.
I'd be playing in tournaments.
Yeah.
I'd be biohacking so I could play more pickleball.
For
right?
sure, for
so, I think we're ready to leave. We've talked
We're
about
done.
my favorite subject.
Let's go.
Yeah. No, great place to start. Look, I'm gonna go into. There's two things. This is like on the spiritual side,
Okay.
but also very tied to scientific. The two feelings that are crucial and monumental for your health. One is gratitude. It's
Yeah.
deep.
Agreed.
It's like an area that's so deeply researched that if you practice gratitude, you change your biochemistry. I don't think I need to, get so deep into it because most people are already aware of it. The other thing is joy. If you can keep yourself in this frequency of gratitude and joy, and I'm not getting into woo-woo,
No.
I'm getting into this is very scientific.
Yeah.
If you can remain there, the rest of your life is just going to fall together, right? If you're happy, beyond happy, joy is, I think, even beyond happiness because you're just having this, you're beyond satisfied, right? Happy is like you sitting on the couch and I'm really happy right now.
Yeah.
Joy is like, you really feel it.
It's like a superpower.
It almost has like
Yeah.
a movement
Yeah,
involved in it,
yeah.
whereas happiness can be stationary,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Interesting way of putting it.
I've never really thought about it that way because it's like, what is joy? And how does that make you feel? And what does it make you feel? Right? And you're talking about energy right now, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it gives you energy.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that you really enjoy, you want to do more of it.
Yeah.
And you get excited for it. It's like you would after a breakup, you have no energy. You're sad. You're going through a really deep, dark time in your life.
Yeah.
And you have no energy. But the complete opposite of that could be joy, and you have energy. So for you, it's pickleball, and what else?
I was just gonna answer that question
Yeah.
actually. For a lot of people, it's traveling, and
Yeah.
I've had great teachers, great mentors, great friends, people that I learned from. Sometimes when you don't have energy, all it can take is if I know I'm playing pickleball or if I know I have a trip that I'm preparing for,
Yeah.
it just ends up fueling you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like creating your own personal system and it's almost like a little game.
Mm-hmm.
And I am big fan of kind of being able to game your brain because your brain is like friend / enemy.
Oh, for
right?
sure, yeah.
So you learning how to deal with your brain is a task.
like hacks. You're like hacks.
Yeah,
hacking your brain.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And you can hack your brain chemically, or you can hack your brain I guess socially or spiritually
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yeah.
By training it to think a certain way.
Yeah.
So I think gratitude and joy are two feelings. If you can figure it out, and there's more to pickleball, I think for me and for a lot of people that are truly in it than just feeling joy. We're going to talk about health stuff. I'm a huge fan of pickleball because you're in the zone 2, zone 3 cardio, maybe zone 1 to 3 cardio.
Yeah, which is for those that don't know, it's when you can't talk and do the activity at the same time.
Zone
right?
2 is when you can talk.
Okay, got it.
You can talk. You're slightly out of hiking. If you're hiking
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
right? That's kind of what the zone 2 area is. If somebody wants to dig into it further, you can do a test like PNOE test or some other test where you can figure out exactly what your personal zones are, right?
PNOE test. Okay. All
Yeah,
right,
but it doesn't need to get that complicated.
Okay, all right.
Simple rule is if you're doing zone 5 cardio where you're trying to up your VO2 max and you're really full sending it, yes, this information becomes valuable. You want to put on a heart rate monitor, know how high up to go, and then to rest to bring it down. But for this, right, it's an activity that just about anybody can do. The learning curve is super, super low. Anybody can pick it up.
Yeah.
That's why it becomes a lot more fun. The other thing is you're always playing with other people. So tennis is, ranked up there as one of the sports that is great for longevity.
100%. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and a
pretty
big
cool.
component of it is that it's really good because you're always being social. It's not so taxing on your body. I'm willing to bet right now that the future research Pickleball is going to outperform every sport.
Yeah.
And following is why it's even less taxing on the body. You are in the optimal zone range for your cardio. Second, you're more social than you would be in tennis. You're playing with 3 other people most of the time, and you are in closer proximity, right?
To them.
To them, right?
Yeah.
And just the nature of pickleball is it's a lot of fun. And you know what's another biohack that can get very ignored is laughter. A lot of times when you're playing pickleball, you are just laughing, you're going for it, right? So these are things that feed your brain. You make more neurotransmitters, you get serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine release naturally without having to do the swipe or chase things in life.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a scientist and I'm on the spiritual side as well, but it does have to make sense. And pickleball for me just makes a lot of sense.
And you just started playing that, like in the last year, right?
Yeah, in the last year, yeah.
Okay. And you play how often a week?
You know, there's weeks where I'll play like 3-4 times.
Okay.
And there's
a lot.
Yeah, but there's weeks, you know, I was traveling for work to visit our company in Austin, and I didn't play in 2 weeks.
Okay.
But this Saturday, I'm playing for 6 hours from 8 to 2 p.m.
6 hours?
Yeah.
Wow. I love that.
I will have like my full supplement stack beforehand.
Yeah.
Like,
You're ready to go.
I'm gonna start off in ketosis, ride out the ketone wave, right? And then just refuel with electrolytes. As my performance starts going down after a couple of hours, I'm going to switch my fuel to glucose. And some amino acids.
What is that? What is like a glucose food?
So everything
like sugar?
Everything.
Everything has
carbohydrates all ultimately end up getting converted into glucose. Even a lot of times protein will get converted somewhat into glucose in your body. So consuming, like if you consume a banana, right? Now you went from ketosis into, you know, depending on glucose. So that's that's my hack for lasting 6 hours, 7 hours.
That's a long time.
In a physical activity.
Are you playing the whole time or are you?
No, there's breaks in between.
Yeah.
There's like 10-minute on, 5-minute off, times 30 minutes on back-to-back games. So it's kind of like, it's a good, you know.
I got to join you one of these days.
Yeah, you should.
I can't Saturday, but.
Yeah, you should. You should. I host sometimes. I gather friends and, you know, do it often. Yeah.
All right. So you talked about gratitude. You talked about joy, pickleball. What else is your career also bringing you that same joy?
Yeah, I pretty much have a rule in my life that I don't do likes, I do loves only.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
It actually, full transparency, you know, I want to be very open here.
Okay.
It actually required a lot of training for me to do the thumbs up on iPhones.
Okay.
Because I was so trained for the last few years that I don't do likes. If it's something I like, I'm just going to eliminate it from my life, and I will only surround myself with loves, right? So yes, my career, I absolutely love it. It is one of the most brilliant teams that I work with, right? Like a great group of people. The co-founders are absolute geniuses, so love them. So kind of like my hierarchy is my health, my personal romantic relationship, right? And then my career. These are the 3 big things that I focus on.
Where's pickleball? Is that's health?
Pickleball is in health. Yeah.
Okay,
So
gotcha. Okay.
even my calendar system is color coordinated
Really?
with these 3
I love it.
categories.
I
And there's
love
a
it.
4th category that's gray, right? But health is orange. I want that too. When I open up my calendar,
see a lot of
and
that.
see like, oh, I'm doing an HBOT or a sauna session or pickleball.
that.
That's orange, right? So it's just, you got to organize it. So it's good to have a visual.
Yeah, no,
on
for
that,
sure.
yeah.
And I was actually thinking about that today because have you heard of the time matrix by Stephen Covey? It's like the time crisis. It's like planning and recreation. It's like trivial activities. It's like a 4 quadrants.
Yep.
And you want to be in quadrant number 2, which is like planning. It's true relaxation and relationship building. It's all these important things that you're kind of talking about. And then number 1 is what we're kind of always in, right? It's like the tasks that are all the
crisis.
exactly all the deadline stuff, you know. And I find myself in number 1 so much that it's just like I'm like, all right, I need to step back. Instead of working in the business, I have to work on the business, you know, and also just relax too.
Yeah.
So I've just been always just always deadlines, and it's not good. You
Yeah.
know, like I feel like my nervous system is overwhelmed, and I need a couple days where I can just sit back, relax, and kind of look out. You know, like a big view of things, of my life, of work, of everything. You know, I don't know what's going with that, but
Yeah, I think a good trick for that. I mean, I've dealt with that most of my life, even in college. I mean, it was just like, it was rough at times doing research and involved in extracurricular activities and enrolled in multiple units in different major. It was a lot to manage, right? While being very socially active. So I think reversing time a little bit and just getting ahead of it. Just, you might have to full send it for like 1 to 2 days,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you get ahead of it, like everything you're having crisis about, resolve it, but then don't stop there. Deal with what the future crises are upcoming, right? So just, it really is like a little game you have to play with yourself. And if you practice, the morning anxiety and the work anxiety slowly starts to fade away. I was just talking about this with somebody, it's just like, if there is that area that has a challenge, start working on it just a little bit before. So if you're struggling with conquering a certain area, sleep or waking up or morning routine or workout. So if you're planning on working out at 4 p.m. every day, right? Instead of waiting till 4 p.m. that tonight I'm going to work out at 4 p.m. No, the day before, get your clothes ready, get your shoes ready. Think about like the details.
Atomic habits. Yeah,
think about habit stack,
for sure.
but also think about the minor details. Like am I gonna go to the gym fasted? Because a lot of the time it is those minor details that are going to derail you.
Yeah.
Well, today I'm not hydrated and I ended up doing the sauna, or like I ate too much salt and I'm dehydrated. Right? No. Figure out those
like
details.
that.
And you might fail day 1, day 2, but eventually it's going to fall in place. And I think having mercy for yourself
Grace,
is
for
super
sure.
important.
Yeah, I that's a good point, because I remember last year in December, I really wanted to focus this year in my business and work really hard and just grow my business by a lot. And I spent like 2 weeks really trying to not hack, but just like organize my calendar, and like, I want to wake up at this time, I want to be at the office at this time. And I almost to the minute, I had things planned out. And like you said, what I do now is at nighttime, I prepare for the morning.
Yeah.
Have my clothes ready. I look at my calendar. What do I have to do? Do I have to shave? Can I wear a hat to work? Right? And then you get prepared so that when you're ready to do that thing, it's not as hard, and it just comes much, much easier. But I was thinking, when you're talking about going to university, I want to talk about your childhood, because I always find it fascinating when somebody is at the level of where you're at in terms of career, spirituality, confidence, just everything about you. You've had to go through a lot in your life. So let's talk about where you're from, where you grew up, and also you went to school at UCSD, correct? Okay.
Yep. So I grew up in Pakistan.
Yeah.
I was born in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Portion of my childhood was in Pakistan. I came to US when I was 12.
12.
And I did not speak English. And we were a poor family living in East LA, right? And we were the first Pakistani brown family ever to be in that neighborhood.
Wow.
Nobody knew what Pakistan or India was at that time. This is 1998. So growing up here Pakistan is already a rough place. It's beautiful, but it has its rough edges. It's not.
Were you in the capital?
No, it was in a small city called Sialkot.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Is it like suburbia, or what does it look like?
it's a mixture. It's a city, but it has like village parts and then more modernized parts. So it's just a blend of, and there's a lot of like business there. An interesting fact about that city, or about Pakistan as well, is at one point, 100% of the soccer ball manufacturing used to happen in Pakistan. 100% of it.
Really?
Pakistanis were like the dominant force in that.
Soccer balls, okay.
And there's like an art on how you, they were hand sewn, right?
Yeah.
100% of those 100% of these Pakistani soccer balls were manufactured in one city, and that was called Sialkot. So I grew up in that city. So there was a lot of business there and art and craft that the city was doing.
Do you have any memories of like your childhood there, or no?
I have.
Because you're like 12 years old. I feel like before I was 12, I have I have some memories, but not a lot.
No, I have memories all the way up to 2 years and 3 months
we
old.
talked
Yeah.
about this. I
Yes,
forgot.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
interesting.
Like vivid memories of my entire childhood.
I feel like I want to go into all these holes, you know, but we can't fill them all up today.
Yeah, we can't fill them
but
all up
maybe
today.
on the next one. Okay, so your family came here. You moved to East LA,
Yeah.
which is I mean, was that rougher than it was in Pakistan, East LA, or was it like?
I
nicer?
have been through interesting traumas in my life, like most people.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, more than less people, have gone through trauma in their life, right?
100%, everybody does. Yeah.
I would say that the trauma that I went through going to school here, and I also started high school early. I was 12 and a half years old when I started high school here. And
12 and a half years old?
yeah, so this is not a brag, you know, I just
No.
tested into high school when I
Yeah.
got here. So I was in high school from, 13 to 15, right? Not speaking English, but knowing how to do some of the sciences and mathematics, right? It was brutal. The bullying, now there's awareness. There was zero awareness around that subject. I would say out of all the things I went through in my life, that was the hardest thing on therapy wise and different things I had to do to resolve. It stuck with me for decades of my life.
Of course. I mean, that's when your subconscious is still forming, like during those really formative years of your life. And those will stay in. I mean, most people aren't even self-aware of how that controls your whole life.
Yeah.
At least you were self-aware to realize that had a big impact in your life and you're able to at least work on it,
Yeah, and I give credit to lots of people for that. Even my little brother, he's my
Always.
youngest brother, but even, it's people, if you're surrounded by love, right? And you trust it, then people are always giving you, you got to move yourself into a place of receiving. But Paul, you brought up I like how you brought this up and I really respect you for that. But when you said it, I like how you look at things. I'm a firm believer that we as human beings have a very narrow lens, right? As you educate yourself, you widen your lens a little bit. As you experience life, you widen your lens a little bit more. When you go through a relationship, especially a breakup, you widen it further. But when you get roughed up, right? Lose your job, move a country, you're getting it's the traumas actually. And it's shitty because I'd never want anybody to go through what I went through, but I also would never take it back about me because it's those experiences that have, I think, widened my lenses, right?
That's a good
But it
point.
also
That's a
added
good
a
point.
humbleness because the wider your lens get, the more you realize how narrow it was, right? So it comes with, okay, it's wider than a lot of people, but there are people who have a wider lens who see more, right? So it's a balance, right? There's humbleness there, but also gratitude for the experiences.
I like that. I've never really thought about that. So you're saying that the more things you have to go through in life that are tough, the wider your lenses, the more you understand, the more gratitude you have of where you're from, like where you come from. That's interesting. So while you were saying that about high school, so I did semester at sea in college, and we went to South Africa, and we were learning about apartheid, and we were learning about how you had the blacks, you had the whites, and you had the mixed. The mixed were obviously the half black and half white, and it reminded me of how I didn't really think about the mixed people were hated by both the white and the black.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of you being the only Pakistani in your high school probably. And it's like you had no friends. Like if you were a black person, you probably had, the African-American crowd. If you were a Mexican or Hispanic, right, in that area, then you had those people, but you were all alone.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was an experience that, I will remember and frankly cherish forever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I like that. Cherish.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when a lot of people talk about trauma, they don't talk about it in that way, in that positive way, in that you say cherish. So where does that come from? Because that's not like, did somebody teach you that, or like where does that like gratitude and that love of those deep moments come from?
Yeah, I don't think you can be taught that. I think that's actually a good litmus or a
Yeah,
gauge
yeah.
for seeing where you're at with trauma resolution in your body, right? And I think it's a really important subject that a lot of people are onto, right? There's many ways to deal with this. You know, like you can do a basic test on yourself if you have trauma in whatever area, personal memory.
Yeah.
If you think about it and you really sit and gauge, is your body having a reaction? It's a very simple test, you know. There are traumas that I went through, some like recent, you know, in like the last 4 or 5 years, injury or a breakup, where when I would think about it, I would actually break out in a sweat, right? That's a very basic test to see where you're at. Where I am at, and actually speaking about it like as beautifully that, oh, I'm grateful for these experiences, that is a natural transition. And that's a transition, you know, that comes after you put in the work. And what is the work? The work is a variety of things and modalities.
Sure. Yeah.
Frankly, this could be a component of the work, right?
100%.
Speaking about it publicly.
Yep.
Or if we were not on camera, speaking about just with your friend, it's
100%.
therapeutic, right?
Yeah.
That could be one thing. Journaling, therapy is a big part of it, right?
For sure.
But journaling where you're your own therapist and you're just like putting out your thoughts, that could be one. Releasing trauma from your body by doing breath work, right? Doing breath work regularly, that definitely relieves you of stress, but also trauma. Then there's a whole realm of plant medicines or frankly, synthetic medicines, right? Like that you can partake in with a therapist and do integration afterwards to basically stick to this new mindset. So I think application of a lot of these things to deal with the trauma, I'm very grateful again, you know, to have been exposed to a lot of this to end up in where I am. And I think might be a good transition to my health story that you wanted to talk about, you know.
For sure.
So when I came to US, because it's going to be tied to trauma.
Yeah.
I came to US, had a bad back injury that might have happened in Pakistan or might have happened here in some sort of bullying accident or whatnot, injured my spine. For that, I ended up having a surgery when I was 16 years old.
So this happened in high school? Your injury?
Yeah, the injury happened in high school. We can't trace it back on where it actually got bad, but my L4, L5, S1 herniated, and I was just in excruciating pain. This is if all the things I'm involved in now in medicine, you know, I would never have needed a surgery, but I was just a kid in a foreign land, right? So parents didn't have insurance. Parents took me to a county hospital, right? They end up
LA County.
LAC, USC.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been there before.
They took me to that hospital. Brutal. Wait times, all that. Ultimately, after 3 months of dealing with them, they're like, yeah, you need a surgery. There's no way out of this. So they end up performing a pretty rough surgery on me that shouldn't have been performed. On top, this is also pre-opioid awareness or epidemic era, right? So not even 18 yet, had a surgery. They prescribed me hydrocodone. They're like, yeah, we're expecting you to be in pain almost indefinitely. You know, you're going to have to just be on this to deal with the pain. I don't know what's happening. You know, I'm just starting college, right? And I'm, you know, taking opioids to manage my pain. You take the opioids for a few months, a year, other things start to get out of whack in your body. You start getting depressed. You go to the doctor, you're like, okay, well, here are some SSRIs, okay. Well, I'm having a lot of anxiety after a few months of that, and I can't fall asleep now. Like, life is crumbling in areas, right? Here's some sleep medication. Okay, I don't have energy. Well, let's add some amphetamines to it, methylphenidate, Ritalin, or whatever, right? So, long story short, I managed my life in college and some level of career I did well, you know, but it was not easy. After about a decade of doing that, after about a decade of doing that while trying to maintain my life, I was 340 pounds and pretty much almost on my deathbed. I couldn't even move around. I hadn't worked out in a decade. I was just ballooned up. I was following every advice that the doctors were giving me. I had Kaiser at that time, things are different now.
Yeah.
Things are a lot different now. I was diabetic. My A1C was, I was like on the verge of getting a limb cut off, if I would have stayed in that
For
zone.
sure. I mean, you probably would have been dead by now if you didn't have your
Absolutely.
transmission.
No.
For sure. You're probably about to
the story on what happened. I went and saw this doc. I was just trying to find a way out. So paying doctors out of pocket that were not part of insurance to figure out what's going on. So I saw this one doctor and he's like, "Oh, how much money do you make a year?" I love that guy. His approach was rough, maybe poor bedside manner, but it did start to change my life. He's like, "How much money do you make?" I told him like 6 figures, whatever. I'm okay. And he says, "You have any kids?" And I was like, "No." "You got family?" I was like, "Nobody that depends on me. I help out my parents once in a while." And he's like, "I would live it up. I would live it up. Do drugs, do whatever you want. Just live it up because you're not going to live 6 months, a year. That's your range. You're going to die." Okay.
Wow.
Like everything one by one is failing. I had severe pancreatitis for which I was admitted to the ICU. They couldn't figure, it was just being on all those pharmaceuticals for that long.
For a decade.
Everything was collapsing one by one. I was in Vegas for a work trip and end up in the ICU for the severe pain, which was caused by pancreatitis. That was a transformative experience. My nephew was being born and I was dying in the hospital.
In Vegas?
In Vegas,
on a work trip?
On a work trip during Christmas. This was December 18th. When he was born, I was in the hospital. And nobody was there because everybody was gone, right? For vacation. No colleagues, no friends, no family. So I actually had this thought that I'm going to die and he's going to be the one who's going to come out. I went down and I woke up and went to the bathroom and I'm like wobbling on the kitchen, on the bathroom sink. And I called my sister and my father. I'm like, "How's my nephew?" And they're like, "Oh, he's healthy." Something clicked in my head that it's not my time. I don't know why I said that it was my time. I made a decision that I'm going to I'm going to turn everything around like overnight. I don't care who says what. They wouldn't let me go because they're like, "You're a flight risk because even if you sign an AMA document against medical advice, we're not going to let you fly because your pancreas could explode." So I made a deal with them. I signed the document. I got a dose of morphine. Made a deal with them that I'll go straight to the ER to when I would land in San Diego. Anyways, a lot. That was
So this is 10 years after your surgery. So you're 26 at this moment, or no?
This is a little bit longer after the surgery.
Okay.
This lasted on and on. 10 years is like the bulk of the rough ride, but this lasted for a while.
But this Vegas incident, how long ago was that?
This was in 2018. 2018 or 2019.
So 6 years ago.
Yeah.
5-6 years ago.
Yeah, 2018.
That's crazy. And
2018. Well, I did so I got to San Diego and I made a deal with myself. I was like, I'm going to dedicate 7 days to creating out my plan for the whole year. So I went on, and I was still on opioids. I went on an absolute research binge for 7 days. I was taking the pain medication to turn my pain off so I could research. It all kind of ended up working out. 7 days, I got barely any sleep. All I did was research. I made a full comprehensive plan. January 7th, I started my protocol that I made up. From January 7th to the first week of February, I had lost 40 pounds.
Already, like that?
Already.
And what was that protocol?
I'll get into that.
All right.
Trauma is a big component of it. And the rest of the weight, over another 60 pounds, I lost in the span of next 5 months. So in 6 months, I was just unrecognized. You wouldn't be able to recognize me. Yeah, I share photos with you. You can share.
Yeah. I see it.
Like you wouldn't be able to recognize me.
I would love to. If you're okay with it,
I'm okay with it. Yeah. Share them. Yeah. So what I did during that process, a lot of people, it ended up turning into a business, right? Like everybody kept coming to me. Even my doctors that I had ended up coming to me they're like, "How did you do this?" How did you, it was so quick without side effects. So it ended up turning into a very fruitful business for me and like a consulting firm, right? But as people would ask me, what did you do? What did you do? And I was like, I thought about it for so long. Like sometimes like hormonal management, nutrition control, physical activity. No, it was a very conscious, I did all that, but it was a very conscious decision to shift things and to let something go. That I had done hormonal management or optimization, testosterone, you know, to be very exact and transparent. I had done multitude of diets. I had done physical activity. Nothing was sticking. But this time what helped it stick was I was letting go. And after the work that I did in the next, you know, that half decade or 6 years, that's when it became very clear to me that what I was letting go of was actually trauma. And as I let go of the trauma and then deployed in some of the key basic principles that weren't working before, now they all started to work. And it's fascinating to me, right? There's a book called Body Keeps Score, and there's a lot of scientific work on this done now, but this is still a little hazy. There still lacks a little bit of clarity on it. This could still be classified under, what is this guy talking about? This is woo-woo, you know, let go of trauma, lose weight, you know? No, but there's clarity, but it's still hazy there, right? So, and it's fascinating that I have actually taken other people through the process, and it has worked for them.
Okay, so let's talk about trauma, because you say you let go of trauma, and that you made it sound so simple.
Yeah.
This is the meat.
Yeah.
Like what does that mean?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
Yeah. So in that moment when I made that decision, I didn't actually let it go. What I was doing was I was using sheer will to force it out. To really, and it worked, right? It worked. I lost the weight. I had the drive. I wasn't stuck in my trauma loop, right? It worked. But for it to stick and for you to have a happy, healthy life, you have to put in the sweat.
Of course.
You have to, right? So sheer will is very crucial, very important to get you started and to make that big first leap. But then you really have to surrender and give into like therapies, breath work, medicines to be able to resolve that.
So you spent 7 days researching how to change your life based on your situation.
Yeah.
Before ChatGPT.
Man, PubMed was my number one resource. PubMed is...
It's called PubMed?
Yeah, PubMed is, you know, it's an archive where a significant, most of the research, not all of it, but that's uploaded from around the world.
Really?
You have to pay for some articles. Yeah. Some are free, but it has abstracts, summaries, the whole research paper with methodology, everything that was done. So some I was glancing through, others I was digging into. I was on forums, I was reading books, but yeah, it clocked in.
And so you probably took a little bit of a lot of things and just made your own little soup.
That's exactly what I did.
Everything.
And I frankly did some things that I wouldn't recommend somebody doing without guidance. You know, like the first set of weight that I lost was, and I'm happy to talk about this, was actually with, I just did an elimination process. I cut out, and you know, now you have Jordan Peterson, all these guys talking about carnivore diet, but I did that.
Yeah.
You know, I did that. I would
Whole Foods?
I would be carnivore. No, I have 4 ingredients.
Oh, 4 ingredients.
Butter, ribeye, bacon, and salt. That's all I ate for 5 days. Then I would take a break and eat some, slowly eat some greens.
Wait,
and
go
some
back
fruits.
to that. Go back to that. Ribeye steak, butter, salt, and bacon. Sounds like a man's diet.
Yeah, but what happens?
You get a lot of protein in there. There's a lot of meat. Okay.
For where I
talk about
was,
that.
For where I
interesting.
was, right?
Okay.
And again, this is the disclaimer
yeah.
that one should not be doing this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But somebody who's 340 pounds, who's dying, whose lipid profile is still manageable, like I'm not the verge of having a heart attack, but so many other things are about to collapse if I don't lose the weight, right? And if I don't get my blood sugar under control, right? Because I was diabetic, full-blown diabetic, like on multiple medications, right? So for that, it was worth it for me to do a small little like sheer like
willpower.
push.
Yeah.
Push to just do that. Train my brain that I'm not dependent on carbohydrates anymore, shift into ketosis, right? So I only did that I didn't even do that for a month. I did that for, I think, 26 or 27 days.
Okay.
Once I got through that, I shifted my diet to be much more colorful. I removed out, some of the harsher vegetables to reduce my oxalate levels, like spinach, or nightshades, or almonds, things like that. But my diet, was just very healthy. It had protein, it had healthy fats from avocados, some saturated fat in there as well. But so the next phase was just a lot more holistic with a lot more things incorporated.
Okay, so I feel like I don't understand the whole trauma part yet, because I'm fascinated with this subject, because I have my own stuff and when you talked about having grace with it and having gratitude towards it, and there's all this positivity around this trauma you had, I didn't have that same outlook towards my trauma. I was angry, like I was angry learning about all the stuff that happened in my childhood when I didn't really understand it, and I didn't really understand it until like 5 years ago when I was like 36 years old. I had this really good therapist, and he started asking all these questions, and I'm like, whoa. And he started digging deeper and deeper and deeper. It's crazy. He would ask 15 questions, nothing. And then all of us, he would ask just one question that it would just be like, I just start bawling out of nowhere.
Yep.
So he helped me find where that trauma is, why I'm doing a certain thing. Why am I numbing out during a certain situation? Why am I an avoidant attachment style, and my nervous system just locks up and I just become completely numb. So how did you recognize, cause like when I'm thinking about this spinal injury where you didn't really understand where it came from, it probably came from all this bullying. And maybe your body was just like inside, like your nervous system was just, I don't know. It's just like a guess, right? But there's so many things that happen to our body because of traumas that people don't even think about. They don't even think, they always think about it as like somebody hit you, but a lot of things happen to your body because of what's happening in your body from traumas.
Yeah.
So how did you understand this whole thing? Because you kind of lightly went around it, and I'm trying to understand more about it.
It took me a long time, Paul.
Okay.
But you're kind of on the money there. Okay. There's research that shows that boys, I don't know if it's on all sexes, but this is what I'm recalling. I was having a discussion with one of my physician friends that adolescent boys who went through certain type of abuse in their childhood end up almost certainly with low back pain. TCM, I'm a huge fan of different Ayurveda, TCM, not everything, but I like to pick traditional Chinese medicine.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
There's a whole area there where if this is happening in your life, this is where you feel the pain in your body, right? And as time goes on, we're going to verify a lot of these things. We're going to learn from them. We might discard some of them, right? We'll get more clarity on them because our knowledge base is just growing in an explosive fashion at a pace that right is just unbelievable, right? So we don't know what happened, but it was not. I may be making it sound like it was an easy process.
No. You're not. I just want to understand because, like, I guess for me, I had to be in a relationship with somebody, and because when I'm alone, I didn't really understand where these things were coming from because they weren't happening. They were happening when I was with somebody, and most of your traumas happen. Like most of your traumas are, I guess, found out when you're in a relationship. Yeah. With a friendship or with somebody where they trigger you. You're like, why are they triggering me, right? And then you start to understand why they're like actually triggering you. So that's what I'm trying to understand from you.
Yeah, good. Okay, I have some clarity on what you're talking about. The pattern that I observed, the number one place, you are right. This is an order where I observed where I found out that there's problems, right? Was romantic relationship, right? Was number one. And then work was number two. Because friends were kind of like friends. And if you're living with family, you're spending a lot of time with family, right? Or sometimes family just brings the bad out of you, right?
For
Because
sure.
they're the triggers that are already pre-existing.
Yeah.
But your romantic relationship, that is just so, that's the first one where you're going to notice that, man, this is not me. Why am I doing this? And work, because you're spending a lot of time with your colleagues, right? With friends, sometimes it doesn't really bring it out,
It depends on the friend. Yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
really worth it. You
Yeah.
don't deal with, you just kind of like let a lot of,
Sure.
it's easier to let go.
Yeah.
But in a relationship, the most amount of growth I've had in my life, I would say, was inspired in relationships, but more importantly during a breakup.
Yeah.
And I don't know how widely this is talked about, but that's my spiritual and social growth rampage period, I call it, when I would go through a breakup.
For sure, man.
I would just clock in work with therapy, books, meditation, just a variety of things, right? And focus on your health.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a time to reflect. That's what happened last year to me. I turned 40, and it was like my age. It was the breakup. I told you I hired a health coach. I was doing all these things to really work on myself. And it's a good time. And I'm really fascinated about men's emotions, about how we were raised, because our generation was raised with not all of them, but like most of our parents were raised us without talking about emotions. I'm not sure how you were raised, but we were Colombian, and my dad grew up very poor. My mom did too, and we didn't talk about feelings at all, and how that affects us now, But I feel like you are very expressive with how you feel. So I guess I just wanted to ask you about that. Like, has that been a part of your growth as well?
Yeah. Look, I think our backgrounds or cultural backgrounds are probably very similar from what you're describing as far as talking about emotional expression goes.
Yeah, for sure.
I grew up in a culture where not just men, but for the most part, just everybody, if there's a problem, put it in a virtual box in your brain
and lock it up,
throw it away,
put it in
and
a vault,
forget about it. Put it in a vault, right? It just doesn't exist anymore. And that does a number on you.
Yeah,
that
for sure.
does a serious number on you. It does a number on your family. So I don't know if I have a gene or something, but I'm just a lot more vocal. I'm very
So
transparent.
have you always been that way? Or has that been with your growth?
It has become a lot more prominent with my growth, where I just choose to be dead honest about any subject, right? And there's a little bit of art of delivery too. If you can deliver, somebody who has the art of storytelling, right? They might be able to deliver a harsh truth in a way that's very digestible for somebody, right? So I might have learned that a little bit along the way that makes it easier to be honest, right? But yeah, that's become more and more prominent. But on the thing you were saying about locking up your emotions and just hiding them and not vocalizing them, the pattern that I see in my family and families of my friends, as we, in the stage we're in, have done work, is now we have to go back and fix shit.
Oh yeah.
Now we got to
generational stuff.
Now we got to go back because like everything is in shambles. The social relationship, and many people may not understand what we're talking about because they never had this experience. But this is a large majority of the world. When you are fighting for, the food, your living quarters, right? You don't have time to deal with emotions.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. That is so true.
It's not their fault.
No, it's not. No, it's not their fault at all.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing to keep in mind as we, in the stage we're in, go back to our families and, work with them one by one. They did their utmost best, and their parents did their best. We are just given, a different set of tools, and the ones after us are probably going to be looking at us like, man, they were a disaster.
Oh, for sure. No.
Standing here doing a podcast, like, what are they doing? They should have clicked this button and taken this pill.
Right,
they were just like done.
No, but that's a good point because, and I don't know if this just happened with your own personal growth, but you have a lot of grace again about this stuff because again, when I look back, I was upset at my mom. I was upset at my dad. I was upset at my older brother, but I know it's like, then you kind of slow down and you kind of think about what they went through and their challenges, and they're doing their best, like you said, and it's now up to us. And luckily, we're very self-aware people, and I think that's what attracted me to you, honestly, is that your heart is open, and so you let people in, and that's great because most men are not like that. It is hard to find guys like you, to be honest, Brad, that are open. And it just feels good to be around you, So it's like, good job on doing the work, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Because you're not only doing the work for yourself, you're doing it for your brother, you're doing it for your parents, your sister, your other brother, your girlfriend, all your friends around you, because it's like an energy, It's like we're talking about like your level of frequency, It's infectious.
Oh, thank you so much.
No, it's true though.
The world to me,
for
Paul.
sure, brother.
Thank
Yeah, for sure, brother.
To wrap up this subject of traumas, I think I will share.
It's a lot.
I will share something very transparently with you that I've never spoken about publicly. So I went through an experience at a very young age. I was sexually abused before the age of 10, from the age of 6 to about 8, 9. And it was a lot of experiences, a lot of bad experiences during that period. And growing up, my body was just like traumatized because, your brain, if you're go through certain type of trauma, as your brain is developing, your brain wires differently, right?
100%.
So when I came to the States and then went through more stuff here, it was just a lot for my body and my brain. And I did go through a lot of the anger that you're talking about. But I believe because of my sexual abuse, I went through the stages much earlier than you did, right? Yeah. Because I was angry. My abuser was in Pakistan. I wanted to, as a kid, I wanted to grow up and travel back and hurt him.
Of course,
And this anger cycle controlled my life. And this lasted for years, right? But finally, I believe I was out of, I think I was in my early 20s. When it finally struck me one day. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know how it happened, but I had this epiphany. I thought about my abuser as a kid. I literally I was by myself in the room. I ended up crying maybe for hours on this subject because I was like, I want to hurt this person, for doing what he did to me and maybe to a lot of other people. But shit, he might have the almost 100% likelihood he went through the same experience I went through, potentially even worse, right? Yeah. So in that, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this, and body's having a recall, of this. Yeah. But in that moment, I developed an immense gratitude, not just for my trauma and opening up my brain and heart and having a compassion, but also for one thing, I didn't become an abuser. I stopped the cycle with me, right? So trauma is a loop. It's a cycle. So I think I went through this experience at a pretty early age. Wow. So I kind of was forced, which I can't stand here and take credit for. I believe you want to give me a lot of credit for oh, you worked through this, you respect the work I've done. But I honestly can't take that credit. I put an effort, but I was just cornered into a spot. I had to figure out how to survive or I was going to die. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people die,
Yeah. Yeah. And for that, I'm fortunate and grateful.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for sharing. I'm sure that's not easy to share, but wow.
No, it's very easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very easy.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because I have no charge.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I actually have excitement.
That's amazing.
Because I want, if there's anybody listening who's gone through that, I want to be, if I impact one person, it's like a 100%, win, right? Yeah.
Huge win. Yeah. Huge win. Wow. Okay, I don't know where to go from there, but that's awesome, man. That's for you to have that kind of compassion and that kind of awareness at such a young age, going through your back and the opioids and all that stuff. That's crazy, man. Well, listen, I'm glad you're on the other side. So let's change it up and let's talk about, I guess we can talk about your transformation after all that happened in 2018, because that's kind of where we left off. And now, because you are, I obviously I never met you before, so I don't know what your energy level was like and how you were. But obviously, you're a very confident guy. Have a lot of joy in your life. So talk about that, like, and then now talk about going into Minicircle, because I know that's the most exciting part of your life right now. I think, right?
Yeah.
Working with Walt and like
yeah.
doing something really cool, something on that next on the frontier of like science.
Yeah.
And you're not even in the science part of the business. You're in the communications part, in the business side.
Yeah, in the business
And when I was reading your bio, it kind of made sense to me, because when you were saying that about it earlier, it's like you need somebody in that role to understand the science behind what you're trying to sell. And you understand the science, even though you didn't develop it, but you understand it so well that you're able to communicate. And you're obviously a very good communicator. I don't know if you got that from where, but you're a very, very good communicator.
Thank you.
And that's going to help Walt and his business grow, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's talk about. Let's go back to 2018. You had the whole transformation, and you went from 340 pounds, right?
Yeah.
To
220 pounds.
which is where you are now, basically.
No, I'm a little bit more. I have more muscle.
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. You are stronger. Okay.
See, I said I have more muscle, and my
Yeah.
like muscles immediately flexed.
Yeah,
It's like a
I
body.
love
It's like I didn't do that. I don't.
It's just your.
That wasn't me. It was
yeah,
just like my muscles are like, yeah,
that's
we
right. What's up? What's up? So I guess we can just go into like
Yeah.
the whole gene therapy, because that's a long conversation as well. We had dinner the other day at the Colombian restaurant, and you were trying to explain the amino acids, went into proteins, and then the proteins turn into this, and I was like, okay.
Look, I will make it very digestible.
Okay, all right,
so,
cool, let's do
yeah,
it, let's do
I would
it.
love to talk about the gene therapy, because I was actually just talking to my team, and I was like, man, this is my favorite project of my life that I've partaken in.
How cool
I've
is that,
been
man?
involved in so many projects, and let me give you the lay of the land and
Okay.
just break it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so peptides have been like a big wave. People are using peptides. These are little molecules in the body composed of amino acids, comes from food, that do a variety of different things in your body. There's a peptide called DSIP that your body makes, delta sleep inducing peptide, that, makes it and you go into deeper sleep, right?
Okay.
So thousands of these are floating around in the body naturally.
Okay. Peptides.
Insulin is a peptide also.
Okay.
Your body's making insulin to deal with the sugar. You can take it synthetically, right? So there's this one peptide called follistatin.
Yes.
It is like the king of, it's been the top longevity research compound around the world for decades now. At least 2 decades, a little bit over 2 decades, right? It is groundbreaking. It gives you more muscle. It leans you out. It makes you stronger, gives you more energy. It's highly anti-inflammatory. It drops your biological age by average of 10 years.
I saw that like mice, like 32% longer life.
Yeah,
on mice, right?
It's,
That's
crazy.
crazy.
We will know the human on exactly how it's working in humans as like,
Of course.
more few decades pass by, right? Yeah. But it is extremely promising and, available now. So here's what sets this gene therapy, or sets gene therapy and then specifically Minicircle's gene therapy apart. So follistatin is a peptide. You can buy it. You can take it. It's hard to acquire, but you can get your hands on it. You can't legally.
Is it like a powder or liquid?
Injectable.
Okay.
You can't it's going to be a challenge for general public to get their hands on it and then inject it, right? On top of that, even if somebody put in the effort and worked with somebody and got their hands on it, you got to take it multiple times in a day because the half-life is so short. So you get it for a little bit, you take it, goes up, and then it drops. So you can't really reap the rewards and the benefits for it because you can't maintain steady plasma levels. So with this gene therapy, so that's a big issue of it. You become into a human pincushion, injecting all day, gets really expensive. Each time you inject, you're risking yourself for, if you're taking that many injections, you might end up with an infection at one point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what Minicircle's tech does, gene therapy, is they inject a code in you, okay? And this code has the follistatin code on it, right? A plasmid. It has a code for follistatin on it. Your body, with one injection now for 2 years, is going to make more follistatin on its own. Biological follistatin, not exogenous follistatin.
So it just retrains. Is it your body? Is it like what? Like
It's an external code.
it's a code. Okay.
It's a code that's added in there that doesn't modify Paul's DNA.
Okay. Okay.
Because there is gene therapy that exists where we can go into your DNA, edit or modify it, right? But that's a
slippery slope. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because
Or-
it's not reversible. We make a change in your DNA, and it's there forever. So the beauty of this tech is it solves the gene therapy problem, but with a lot of in a safe way, right? And on top of that, this plasmid that the company designed, I mean, Walt and Mac, absolute geniuses.
Mac is the other co-founder.
Mac is the CEO, and Walt is the chief science officer. And the rest of our science team is absolutely mind-blowing as well. Yeah.
Sure.
So another safety mechanism built in on it is a kill switch.
Okay.
So this plasmid has a kill switch on it. It has a tetracycline response sequence. Tetracycline is an antibiotic, and there's a sequence that responds on the plasmid when you take this antibiotic. So if forever, for any reason, you wanted to reverse this or turn it off, you could just take a pill and turn it off.
That's it.
Boom, it's off.
Easy.
If, women are doing this and getting great results, if a woman wants to turn it off, she got pregnant or something, right? Want clean house, don't want to take a pill, turn it off. In fact,
And forever? Like, is that like turn off forever?
well, it only lasts for 2 years, right?
Okay,
The shot.
so the pill will turn off, and then you have to get another shot to
yeah,
to reactivate
whenever
it.
you're ready again, right?
Is it like a series of shots? Is it one shot?
One shot.
One shot.
One shot and you're done. And it's just mind blowing from that. So that's kind of, that's how follistatin is working and that's how tech is working. But the long-term beauty vision of this whole project and what gets me excited is follistatin in its own is like such an amazing product in this platform. But the whole vision, this technology, the plasmid, this delivery system, activation system, however one might want to put it, you can put other things in it. So the next two therapies that are working on one is LH, luteinizing hormone or testosterone therapy, and the other one is going to be Klothos. LH, most of the executives these days, males, in their 40s, 50s, they're on TRT. Managing life, testosterone replacement therapy.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Taking a testosterone shot once a week. A lot of people are, right?
Okay.
Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is it's very, a lot of these influencers, podcasters, Joe Rogan, it's very openly talked about now on what a lot of these senior executives that are in public eye are doing. It was kind of a subject that was hidden behind closed doors that I don't want people to know that I'm injecting testosterone.
No, it's
not. You got in LA, you got 500 clinics that are offering testosterone, right? So that's a literal pain in the ass. You got to shoot yourself once a week,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And even then, even if you take like a long ester, there's varieties of different testosterone esters you can take. Sure. Even then, it can become like a little challenging to maintain like your steady levels. You might be up and down, and then you got to deal with estrogen, right? So with this next one, the LH plasmid, you take one shot, and your body naturally makes more testosterone.
So it's gonna be working for all kinds of things then. So you guys have like a patent on this like code that like drops it or like recodes your body?
Yeah,
or?
it's all under works right now. But yeah, it's I believe Walt said this, and I think it was very well put. This technology, a good way to view it, is this tech, the plasmid gene therapy, is like a book. Okay. So we got the book now.
Yeah.
Now we can write anything in the book.
Wow.
Right.
That's cool.
So the one after that that's going to be worked on it's already being worked on, is going to be Klothos. Klothos regenerates, rebuilds your liver, heart, kidneys, and most importantly, your brain. Some of the earlier studies on mice are showing IQ increase, 5, 10, 15. I don't know what the number is going to be for us, but if I'm getting a 5-point increase in my IQ or some improvement in my brain, it's
insane.
A no-brainer.
Wow. So that's exciting, obviously. It's also it also makes me a little scared for some reason. I don't know. There's like a fear because it's new, right? But yeah, I mean, obviously that sounds awesome.
I want to comment on the fear.
Yeah,
Because we talked a
yeah.
lot about the trauma.
Yeah.
A lot of times the fear is either coming from trauma or familiarity.
I think familiarity.
Yeah, the familiarity.
Yeah,
Like I
for sure.
use a interesting metaphor sometimes with people to break this down. If you have a car, let's say an M3. Okay, you take an M3, you get a chemical engineer and you get a mechanical engineer. You tell them, hey, you have an objective, you got to speed up this car. And again, just take me for my word on this. You know, there might be some loose ends to the story.
For sure.
The mechanical engineer is going to most certainly open up the engine. He's going to get into it, you know, and he's going to be. The chemical engineer is most likely going to go in the software. Yeah. And when they both come meet on how they sped up the car, the chemical engineer is going to look at the mechanical and is going to be like, wait, you took out the engine? And he's going to be like, whoa, I just went in the engine. You went in the software of the car. Yeah. So it's like wherever your comfort and familiarity is, it just,
Wow. All right. That's okay. So how'd you meet Walt, by the way? Because
I met Mac first.
Okay. You know Mac. Okay.
Yeah, we were having a biohacking party in.
Oh, you had talked about these biohacking parties. Okay.
Yeah, we were having a little biohacking party with NA. This is years ago.
Okay, and what does that mean? Is it? Can you talk about it?
You know, it's a gathering of like-minded.
I like
people.
your smirk.
Yeah. It's a this is an invite-only club.
Sure.
You know, it's a gathering of like-minded people who are doing interesting things. You know, like exosomes, stem cells, NAD IVs or other IVs and lights to improve your brain performance, right? Go on interesting journeys, you know? Like optimize physical, mental, right? Enhancements that you can make via machines or chemicals, right?
So you guys just get together for a night or a day and just start to talk about this stuff. But you guys are all also working in it?
Doing it.
Yeah. Doing it.
Yeah, upgrading. Little
upgrading,
upgrade.
Yeah,
little upgrade evening. So Mac and I ended up meeting. We met at one of these very tiny events. We were both doing an NADIV.
Okay, and you just started at their company like recently, like a few months ago.
Yeah, recently I'd been working with the team on developing and structuring their sales pipeline. And figuring out that system because it's a $25,000 shot, right? Yeah. Even though most people that are doing it, it's nothing for them. It's like most people who are healthy, successful, 25K is very within
for 2 years.
For 2 years,
it's
very.
That's $1,000. It's like a therapy that costs you $1,000 a month. It's not that
but
much.
We're really catering and kind of like doing a very personal service. You know, like we will reach out to you. We'll have a full call with you. You know, ask questions and make sure you understand every step. Whatever question somebody has, answer the questions right, and kind of fill in the gaps. Make them familiar with what the process looks right? You know, if sometimes people have personal questions like, how is this going to do with this, right? So just get into it. A very individual, custom tailored kind of call with people and then take them through the process.
Is it administered here in the States?
No. It's approved in Rotan, Honduras. This gorgeous island. We have a partner clinic there, and then we have other partners.
So people fly over there?
People fly over there. Yep. People fly over there. And it's a gorgeous place, a lovely resort where you can go. The name of the clinic is Garm Clinic. Easy way to access this therapy is to just go on the website, minicircle.clinic. All you do is just like put in your email address, you put in like a refundable $250 deposit, and you just, everything else after that is pretty streamlined.
Wow, that's amazing. How big is the company now? How many people?
It's still a small company. We take a lot of pride in that. Yeah.
And you guys make the product here or in Honduras?
Here.
Very cool. And is your brother going to, because your brother's kind of in the same business as you, right? Always?
My brother is in the health optimization sector. There might be some point where he might get involved on this side, but you know, he's my brother. I respect and love all the work he does. Awais, we're talking about, right? Awais Spall. And he loves the work that I do. So we're always just very supportive of we're doing.
I always like hanging out with you guys because you guys,
Thank you.
you guys always have different point of views of things.
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys will get at it, but it's always love. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You guys
Yeah,
have
we
a-
call each other out.
You guys have a good
Yeah,
relationship. Yeah, that's really cool. Anything else that you want to pitch? We can go back and do another episode at some point for sure, man, because that was really fun. But anything else that you want to talk about Minicircle or about your transformation, or because you also do health consulting. Is that something that you don't want to promote anymore? Or is it something that's only kind of like a referral basis?
Yeah. It's kind of like a very closed ecosystem on that.
Yeah,
I'm only catering to 1 to 3 person at a time on a very case by case basis. Depending if most important for me is if I see a case and somebody comes to me, is it something that I genuinely can provide value in?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I feel like it's we can have a holistic exchange and it's going to be synergistic for both parties, right? Like I can help them, they can help me. Then I will take it on. But otherwise, large majority of my focus is Minicircle. But the consulting work is probably always going to remain there because that's a very big foundation of how I got to where I am. And it's also I have a deep passion for wanting to help people, right? So whether the consulting work is happening one-on-one and I'm talking to people about their diet or what biohacks not to do or where to go to get what, right? Whether it's that or I'm doing it in more of a public manner in like a group class or like creating a course, that component probably always will be there.
All right. If you were to give, because we talked a lot more about like your growing up, which I love because that to me is like, that gets me excited. I'm really passionate about, I'm part of like a men's group and we've done peyote together. We're going to do ayahuasca here pretty soon. And there's so much love around these guys, and I feel like you have that as well. And you've done different, plant medicine modalities and you've done a lot of work on yourself. So I guess anybody who's watching, like what kind of advice would you give somebody who's like struggling with their weight or with something in their life? Because you had that one moment in Vegas in the bathroom. I don't know if you're about to vomit or whatever you're about to do, but you were at that point where you're like, if my cousin or nephew, or what was it?
My nephew.
If your nephew is born, that means that you're not gonna die.
Yeah.
So that
it was a click.
The fact that he was born and you're still alive meant that you're not ready to die, and you were like, all right, I'm ready to make a change. But not everybody has that epiphany. Some people will slowly die, and you were slowly dying too, right? But some people will die slower. They're not as much pain as you.
No, I was dying faster. Everybody's dying slowly.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
We were dying faster.
You were dying faster, right? But for those that are dying slower, right? Or for anybody that is going through that, I guess more for like weight loss, right? I guess you had that epiphany, but for them, what's that, like, what are they looking for?
Yeah.
Like what's the thing? Cause I always, I have somebody who I really love, that has tried so hard to lose weight, and somebody close to me that, and it's just constant trying. And I always say, hey, stop trying to lose weight. Look inside. There's something inside you that's not allowing you to lose weight, and look, I can, advise them all I want, him or her, but they have to really look inside and look at the mirror, right? So I guess that's my advice, but what's your advice?
No, there's many ways to address this, right? But your advice is very close to home, in my opinion. After, doing the work I did on my health, like physical health and then mental health, and then working with a lot of people from different walks of the life, it is very hard to help somebody that does not want the help.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
So even if somebody's not having the click that I had in an ICU, right? That, oh no, I'm going to live and fuck, like I don't care about anything. I'm going to now live. Right. And I still possess that same energy. Like, no, it's my decision now. You're not going to take me down. Right. I will figure it out. Even if you don't have the click, Paul, it is super crucial that the individual that's trying to do this or that you're trying to help has made a conscious decision that I'm going to do this, right? I think this is something I thought about for years, because for that whole decade plus time when I was trying but failing, man, I tried so many things. Man, I had the willpower many a times, and then it would go down, right? I think an interesting advice here that could be helpful is so you got to prepare for the downs when you're up. Right?
Yeah, because it's not like you can just flip a switch and then you're going here. It's like this. It's going up and down. It's the J curve.
Wave.
It's the J curve wave. But you're always trying to go up, and past that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you can find the willpower to do, and I've practiced this in many areas of my life before. If you can find, when you're up and you found the willpower and you're like, okay, maybe this person is spending time with you and you got them amped up. You're like, hey, I talked to this guy, Jay, who's on my podcast. Like, he lost all this weight and he did it right? This person might have the juice, like just from an interaction with you, right? Yeah. During this period, juicy period, right? That's when they got to take one action. I wouldn't even say an action towards like having a good diet or action, because those can just diminish, right? Create a checkpoint. I brought up checkpoints to you before. How do you create another checkpoint? With another human. Right? Yeah. Now you have the juice, and now you're like wanting to look it up. Now you're wanting to find a coach or wanting to find a friend. But if you can secure one or two more people as checkpoints who are going to hold you accountable, not just accountable, but help you in the process with grace, because there's a lot of militant coaches out there that will rough you up. That approach doesn't work for people who have...
Not long term.
Yeah. It might get you through a certain period, but that's a harsh approach.
Unless you're like David Goggins or something.
Yeah, exactly. Not a fan of him. I'm a fan of him. He's pulled me through some times there, right? Sure. But it doesn't work for everybody. So, but yeah, once you get that fuel and that juice for a period of time, work on creating 1-2 more checkpoints. And now when you're in your depth, what do drug addicts do? People, alcoholics do, or people who've gone through addiction, right?
Sponsors,
They have sponsors. Yeah. I mean, I know people.
Good point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Cool. Thanks for coming on, man. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It was funny because when I was thinking about this podcast, or like I've been doing YouTube videos for a long time, property tours and like talking about real estate, but I'm really passionate about just getting to know people. This is not going to help my real estate business, but I just enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you were one of the first people that like came to mind because you're just a fascinating person. You have good energy and you have good stories and you're super smart and you're on this wave of this new cool gene therapy. So you're on that. It's just a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we can talk for hours, which we have in the past.
We have.
So we'll do it again. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.